We've got the garage done, so I guess I get back to work on this car. I'm gonna give you a quick walkthrough of what I'm planning on doing today. Where I get. So this rear quarter needs to be replaced, as well as this lower valance right there. Initially I was thinking, hey, this rear quarter's not that bad. I'm just gonna cut along that chrome line where these holes are, and then do a nice long weld through there. Because actually the metal up in here through the window is actually pretty good. A little rust. There was some bubbling, but I sanded it down and it was fine. So I was like, I don't have to replace this whole thing. So I was gonna just clean it up, cut that line, but then as you can see, there's a lot of Bondo around in this area. So I'd have to straighten out these big dents and everything through there. And then I don't know how much more Bondo's in here. I don't think it's too bad towards the door, mostly around the wheel wells. But you can see how thick they put it on through here. It's just crazy. So that was kind of a bummer. I'm like, I really don't want to have to do a bunch of body work around there. I'm probably gonna have to go around this rear window like I did on the other side. It's a little thin through that corner. But then I got to this corner here, and it's not too bad along here. I mean, there's definitely some dents and dimples, but on this side, there's lots. In fact, even down into this panel here, there's a lot of. So they banged this out a while back. I'm gonna have to try to improve that somehow. But even this trunk lip is like super dented, welded, all sorts of stuff. So that made me decide that we're cutting right at this seam. We'll have to spot weld that back into place. I'm going to cut there, and then cut down that seam there. And then I don't think I'm going to go all the way to the top, but I might just cut through here and then kind of put a seam maybe through here and then tie it up into here, and then do the spot welding along that window, and then clean up this edge some more, drill out the spot welds down through here, and get this rear quarter taken off. There's just, I don't know. I've got the whole rear quarter. I may as well use as much as I can. The last couple days I've been spending getting this door roughly in place. I'm gonna have to do some door repair on that as well. This bottom corner, I've got a skin for it already. So I'll cut this off, similar to what I did with that other door. I tried to get it higher. It's kind of about as high as it'll go. I put a little spacer in the front hinge up here because it's really tight along here. And I found putting a spacer on the second bolt here and then tightening down the inside one kind of spaces this out a bit. And gives it a little room around there without banging into there. Hopefully it'll give me enough room for the seal. And then I got this fender roughly hung in the location where it needs to be as well. And that's going to need some repair as well. There's some holes down here. There's some brass brazing up through here that I'm going to have to cut out and fix. And around through there on the headlight. Gonna have to fix that up. yeah, I don't know. I mean, I suppose I could buy another fender, but for almost $900 US, I can patch this one up and it'll be just fine. I'm not looking to do a show car. And I think those fenders are actually fairly new. On the last time this had rust repair done, I'm pretty sure they replaced those front fenders. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. So first thing I did, get the door mounted in the rough area that it needs to be. I'm gonna have to redo this corner here, but I did bang it out. It was rubbing something fierce on the doors, so I'm gonna have to make sure that I accommodate for space. But yeah, get the door roughly hung. So when I'm doing the rear quarter, I can kind of try to keep this gap somewhat consistent. It's a little gappy through here. If it bothers me, I can weld on a little welding wire onto there, but this does need to come up. So I'm deciding if I'm just going to rely on the strike plate, this latch. I could rely on this latch here once I get the thing mounted to bring it up, because the hinges, there's not a lot of play in the hinges. But yeah, I would like that door to be perfectly straight without me having to muck about with them. I did correct the other side a little bit. I brought that rear quarter down a bit to accommodate for the door being a little lower. I don't know, it could be like that from the factory. I have no idea. But you can see, like, if I squeeze that, I mean, that's where I'd like it to be. And even then, it's a little low. So, I mean, it's not too far off. I think the strike plate will probably accommodate for that. Anyway. Well, yeah, so once I get that rear quarter on and that lower valance over here, then I'll have this kind of in place. I got to do that corner because the rear quarter has to weld up to that corner. So I'm going to have to do some repair work there before I can get the rear quarter all the way connected. But at least I can have that rear quarter in place to give me an idea of the curvature through there. Then once I have that fixed, rear quarter on, rear valance on, then I can use the door here as a reference again to get my lower rocker placed. That's going to be going through here. I'll get the lower rocker on. Then once the lower rocker's on, I'm going to take the door off again and get all the rust repair done on it. There's some rust on the bottom as well, but not as much as that other door that I had to do. And then the fender. And once all that's done, I gotta clean up welds and pull the rear axle, rebuild the rear axle, pull the transmission, rebuild that, go through all the welding on the bottom substructure, get that all welded up so it's nice and solid, and then yeah, paint, start putting it back together. But anyway, I'll give you a little snippet of what I get done today. I don't know how much I'll get done. It's almost 11 o'clock and I have somewhere I have to be at probably 5, so I've got about 6 hours. So we'll see. We'll see how far I get. Anyway. So here's where I'm to. Got this kind of ready to put in the inner fender well. I had to patch up the inner fender. I'm gonna do some stuff there, and I also had to get that all fixed up, welded in, and got it lined up so it works good with the door. Gapping looks pretty even through there. So I'm gonna get this inner fender well welded in, and then we'll start fine-tuning the rear quarter. This bottom corner here is a little tight, so I may have to do some adjusting on the quarter, but I don't think that door's right either, but that's the only reference I got to go off of. So that's what we're gonna do. Anyway, I'll stitch all these together and post them all at once. Okay, well, I got it all kind of tacked into place for the most part. It's going to need some finishing up, finish some spot welds, but got the rear quarter in place, the outer rocker in place, and yeah, I gotta fill in the drip bridge around the trunk, and I still have to attach this bottom bit here. But yeah, for the most part, went pretty good. Got the inner fender well in. Gotta finish some spot welding in the inner fender. I'm gonna fill in that space there with a piece of metal. Spot welds along there will have to be cleaned up, and this is gonna have to get cleaned up and finished up. But door, rocker, I would have liked to have gotten that a little tighter, but so it would have matched that rocker better. But that'll be good enough, because, you know, I'm an amateur and all. But yeah, so took a couple days, and I still have to do the door and the front fender. But that rear quarter is in place, and that's kind of the biggest trick. So glad that's taken care of. I just got to get that drip rail tacked in and that back corner welded up. I got to do a little more body work. It was really badly bent. Somebody just beat it up and threw a bunch of mud over it. Anyway, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to try to get it smooth in the metal first, and then got some booger welds over there. My tip was starting to get clogged up, so the gas wasn't coming out as well as it should have. Anyway, yeah, glad I got that on. That's good. And we'll finish everything off maybe over Christmas break. I don't know. That's that inner quarter for the door. Got that done. But yeah. Pretty good. Get it cleaned up, welded up, finished welded. The trunk fits pretty good. I do need to, it sits a little low in this corner, so I'll probably shim it up a bit. But yeah, everything shuts, closes, a little bit of fine tuning. I may have to open up this gap along here a little bit. We'll see how picky I get. But Might have to fix the edge of this rear window too, maybe. Maybe I can just throw some weld on it instead of putting a piece of metal in. I don't know, we'll see. But yeah, rear quarter, inner fender, that lower corner piece, outer rocker, done. So now I just got the door, front fender, and I think that's pretty much all the body work. Then I'm going to be pulling off the rear axle, getting it kind of refurbished. Rear diff looked at, make sure it's all good. Bearings done. Similar to what I did the front. Clean everything up. Put the lowering springs on. Probably reuse the same shocks. Yeah. So that's, I think, what I'm going to tackle after I get this on, the rear quarter and all the body work done. Get that going. I may have to do some welding underneath as well. The frame rails, it's a unibody, but there's like a kind of box rails that are in there, and it's the guy that did it before was kind of not very well done. So I'm going to try to weld the edges up a bit, maybe just like inch long strips, kind of just to make sure it's nice and stiff. But yeah, anyway, happy with that.